Hi guys, welcome to a valve clearance check and modification on the Honda CBR RR. My bike has 50k on it and it needs inspection, and since I use it for track days I want to make sure that the valve is seated correctly with the proper gap for the stuff. I already got things removed, like the airbox, the valve cover. If you don't know how to do that, then I don't think this is a job that you should be doing, because taking all these things off before getting here is the easy part, and this is, well, not really difficult, but it's a harder part than taking the items off. First things first, when doing the valves, you've got a intake side and an extake, or an exit side, exhaust side. The intake is the one closest to the airbox, which will take in the air. So these are the intake valves, and the exterior exhaust valves are on the other side, on the exhaust side. We do need to loosen the radiator bolt so we can move the radiator, and the manual says that we need to remove this cap here for the timing mark, but if you're only doing the inspection, which I'm doing right now, we can manage on a different way, which I'm going to show you. You can put the bike in first gear and then take a look at this camshaft here. The lobe is facing upward, and we go to the back wheel and we bump it a couple of times. You can see that this one will move. I have to hit it a bit harder. See if you can see that. I hope you could see that on camera, but alright, when we have to measure the settings, we have to go into the manual to get the settings. And what I like to do is get the intake side, which has 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8 valves, and the exhaust side has 8 valves as well. The intake should be 0.20 plus minus 0.03, so that means between 0.17 and 0.23 should be okay. Anything underneath the 0.17 and above the 0.23 is not okay, and we basically ideally want them at 0.20. And the exhaust side on this bike has 0.28 plus minus 0.03, which means 0.25 and 0.31. And what you need for that is feeler gauges between these settings. To do the feeler gauges, and if we want to do a proper measurement, the camshaft will move and push the valve down. Not really, yeah, the valve. If you want to make sure that the camshaft is not touching the valve underneath here, this lobe has to be facing upwards. So this one is nearly upwards, so we keep hitting the back wheel a bit more, or you take off the side cover and you move it by the torque, not the torque but the wrench. It's easier, but it's not really necessary. I'm gonna bump the wheel a bit so this one is facing upwards, and then we can measure this one. The other option is, with the timing hole cover off, you take a 14mm socket, put it on, and you just ratchet it. It's kind of tough, but with ratcheting you also move the cams around. Right, so you might be wondering, what are we going to measure? If you look at the engine from the side view, this is the exhaust side, this is the intake side, doesn't really matter. This is a camshaft, this is the other camshaft, this is a shim bucket, and this is the shim. This is the valve. The thing that we are measuring is the gap between the shim bucket and the camshaft. So this is the feeler gauge, and the reason why we want to have the camshaft facing upwards is because we want to measure this gap. If we are facing downwards or even with an angle, we can't even fit our feeler gauge in between them, so we can't really get the measurement. So this is why we want to have the face facing upwards. So if the engine rotates, this camshaft will eventually get this position and the valve will be triggered down or pushed down. Now this one is facing upwards and this one is nearly pushing on one, and this one is definitely pushing into a valve. So what we want to do now is get the 0.20 feeler gauge and go between the bottom of that cam lobe and the valve and just feel if it goes in. If it goes in like 0.20 easy, we take 0.21, 0.23, etc. to see how big we can go between, and then we have to write that down. So I'm going to get the feeler gauges now and then see what happens. So we're going to do the intake side first, and then this is seen from when you're sitting on the saddle, so it's going to be the far right, and these always be in pairs. So if this one is facing upward, this one as well. This one is different, but they are together. These are different, but they are together, and these are different, but they are together. So we can measure these two right now because they're facing upwards. Once we've measured this one, we're going to write down what the gap is, and we hope it's between these settings. If it's not between the settings, we're going to write down what the gap is, and we'll see what happens later. Once we've done these two, we bump the wheel again, and we're going to check which one is the one facing upwards from there, and then we measure one of these, which one is coming first from bumping the wheel. So I've got my feeler gauges. This one is the 20, this one is the 18, and this is the 23. So this one can be 17, but I only have an 18 here. So we're gonna try the 20 first. So we're gonna, hold on, put it between there, and it should go in, but this one is having a bit, look, it's even bumping, so it definitely will not fit. So we're going to go lower than 20, we're going to try the 17. Here we go on the 17. You got to get a feel from it. It should drag, but it should not bump or anything like that. And even the 17 is a tight fit. Sorry, the 18, not the 17. So we're gonna have to get a I'm gonna check with a different feeler gauge. Since the 18 did not fit in this gap, I'm using a 15 right now, and I'm also having a 16 combined with two feeler gauges. I'm gonna try the 16 first, and then I'll do the 15. It's kinda hard to see, but I'm trying to show. 16 is a hard fit, so I'm gonna go with 15. Is going in. So this one is a 15 for sure. Definitely. I can feel drag on the feeler gauge. So we check for this one as well. And here 15 is way too easy, so we have to go with a different size on that one. It's probably a 17 or 18. So since we know this one is a 15, the one on the right, we're gonna add the numbers there. Since we know it's a 15, kind of have to record with one hand. So since this one is a 15, we're gonna write it down, and 17 is the minimum spec. So this one is out of spec, which means I'm gonna cross this, so I know I have to adjust that one later. This one 15 was easy, so I think this one is within spec, but I'm gonna check what it is, and then I'm gonna do the rest of all the valves, intake, extake, and then since we need adjusting, I'll be showing how to adjust them later. Okay, so for the left one underneath here, I've got a 15mm gauge, a 18 and a 20. The 15 went in easy, as you can see. Very easy. The 18 goes in like snug and perfect. So I'm pretty sure the 20 will not even fit, but I'm gonna try it anyways. Yeah, 20 is not going in. So I know this is a solid 18, and since we know this one is a 18, we're gonna write down 18 here, if I can find my pencil. And 18 is between the 17 and the 23, so it's right here, so it's in spec, so I'm gonna leave it like that. And I'm gonna show you now how to get to the other ones. You have to bump the wheel again or use the side cover, but I prefer bumping the wheel. And we're just gonna see which ones are gonna be the first to stand up. It's gonna be these two. Keep on bumping. Alright, those two are facing upwards now, and we're going to do the same measurements, and that's basically how you measure the valve clearances. So we're going to do those two, those two, and then we do the exhaust side the same way, but they are difficult because I didn't remove the radiator, but the idea is the same. I'm going to try and show you how I measure the exhaust side. I just go from the other side, and you can feel it going through, and this one is tight, very tight, 23, but it's measurable like this. And then you do this one by feel as well, but it's a bit difficult, the exhaust side. Right, so I've measured the exhaust side now as well. 0.27 is okay, 0.24 is not okay. 27, 25, I don't like this one, needs to pay attention to it. I'll probably change that one. 26, I'll change this one as well. It's just at the bottom of it, so I want it to be at 28, so I have to change it. And this one as well, and this one is bad. I actually measured them twice, one time for the video and one time the day before. I actually got some different measurements now, 0.26 and it made a 27 here. It depends on the cold, on the day, and yeah. This one is a 25 on the old measurement, and this one is a 27 on this measurement, so it's important to do it twice and make sure you have the right one. I'm pretty sure this is correct, so I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to be adjusted. To adjust it,